my God, this could be me, end of my life right now. I said a prayer and I said, well, whatever will be, will be. And I said a prayer with the full knowledge that I may no longer be alive. One thing, do you love me? I said, of course I do. He said, would you still marry me? I said, but it's difficult. He said, that's not what I asked. Would you, if you could, still want to marry me? I said, yes. I didn't like being told what to do by people because I knew better things, but I didn't need to be belittled or bullied or being a female and trodden down on.
Exact words. This is what I've been trying to tell the people, that yes, these really tough situations have come, but if you use it right and not use it as a heavy on your shoulders, but let it mold you and shape you to be
in the world.
When you...
I got stronger and stronger, better and better, until I got to the point when I walked away from a 6-figure income. And I would say to anybody with any challenges, know that the challenges are inoculating you for the strength of better things to come. That's how I look at it.
Wow.
Oh, it's not him again.
Hi guys, yes, thanks for joining us to another episode podcast of Am I a Loser? The podcast dedicated for not giving up on yourself in your business or personal life. As I've said before in the intro, I got the pleasure of meeting Ghazala. Honestly, I am so excited. If you don't know of her, or you will now, and if you have known her, it is a bit of a coup. So I'm really excited. So as in the intro, as I expressed, I have met Ghazala for a TV series that is not out yet at the present time of recording, but she made such an impression on me that I needed to get it on. So Ghazala, thank you so much for joining the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here, Ankar. My pleasure.
Oh, brilliant. So, Ghazala, let's start from the top, from the pyramid. Again, in the sense that I can't do your justice of intro. Again, I might have missed things out. So Ghazala, who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? Yeah, sometimes I ask myself these days because there is so much change that's gone on in my life. And I say to myself, where was I and who am I and how has this change happened? So, yeah, I was born in Pakistan. I came to the UK at 6.5 years of age, not speaking a word of English, and went through many, many challenges as I grew in from coming from a lantern-lit village to a street lights from Heathrow to Burton-upon-Trent, and I felt like I'd arrived at Blackpool. And so it was like kind of like a whole alien kind of situation of landing somewhere that was unknown to me, and then faced many, many challenges, and I'll share them with you.
Oh my God! So, how old were you when you came from Pakistan?
Yeah, I was 6.5 years of age.
Oh, wow!
Yeah. So very young as a kid, not knowing anything, and I think one of the funniest things I will share with you that happened was that coming from Pakistan, you're kind of out in a hilly-billy village life, right? And you suddenly come here, and then you kind of ask your auntie, you want to go to the toilet, and then she takes you to the outhouse and says, there you go. And then you see this toilet on a pedestal thing and this little pull chain, and you kind of look at it in a different angles, like how do you jump on one of those? Because we just used to go down the little country lane sort of thing. And so I found this old milk crate and put that there and stood on there and then stood on top of it. And I said to myself, I'm not sure about this England thing. I think I want to go back to Pakistan. At least we have proper toilets, which is just go out with it. But
proper toilets.
Proper toilet. And I said to my auntie, they all kind of thought she'd been gone a long while. And my auntie came to see if I was still alive or what. And I said, I don't like England. I don't like the toilets. Why do you have to climb a toilet? She said, you don't. And then she showed me how you really work with it. And I was like, maybe we got it wrong in Pakistan. But anyway, that was one of my...
Oh, my God. So you can remember as early as back when you're 6.5, I can, but I get like little jigs of it and stuff, So basically you're probably first generation. Well, not in first generation classes as someone who was born here. I don't know, but so from there, that's so you've been brought up in a traditional Pakistani household, growing up with obviously all the culture and everything from there. So obviously your family, I assume, obviously with your name is from a Muslim background, isn't it? So
yes, I'm a Muslim background. Yes.
Okay, so going from there, Ghazala. So again, it's kind of going into your story, which is just, honest to God, when I was kind of interviewing, but even afterwards, I was just like, I was driving back to Wales going, my mind's absolutely freaking blown through what, the things that you've gone through and how you got here. But in order to shape who you are, to what you are now, obviously, is, I believe, the things that have happened in your past, you come through to who you are now. It kind of molds you, correct? It's
Yeah.
it's to the thing you are, so or to the person you are. So the going straight into it, it's, again, I don't know, again, to justice, you've had to face, you've faced love, adversity, tragedy, but yet so much life that you've gone through. So you so as you brought up, you met your lovely husband at the time, Martin. Again, you talk so fondly of him. So you met your future husband. I just gave away. I gave away at the time. What things did you have to go through? Was there something that was, again? Did you explain the story in the sense, if you want to?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I didn't start speaking English till I was 10, but one of the things that for me was so important was education, because it just gives you the confidence, the strength to go forward and do things. Without it, you're restricted to the direction that you want. And my father, he was a teacher. And so, of course, education was a big part in our life of growing up. But I remember, even for me to want to go to secondary education and follow on to further education, I remember having an argument with my brother, who thought I was just going to get sent to Pakistan and have an arranged marriage, and why did I need to study? And I said, well, why do you think Dad made us make sure we pass all our exams? What good is passing an exam if I'm going to get sent to Pakistan and have an arranged marriage? I'm not having an arranged marriage. And my brother thought I was a bit too big for my boots, and that I didn't need education. But I fought for my education, and I actually got hit by my brother in my face. That nearly broke my jawbone, and because I was wanting to study further, and he thought I was a bit too outspoken as it is. So I kind of fought through that. It didn't stop me. I carried on with a secondary education, and I remember that even at school, they wanted to have the Muslim women to wear the Asian outfits in school, and I refused to wear it. Because I said, why, Dad? And my dad said, well, because it's a woman's dignity covered, and we don't want her to be exposed to the opposite sex, and it's your cultural thing, and it's a religious thing. And I said, well, Dad, I have you seen the girls that wear them? I said, do me a favor, go, you drop them off at the front gates with the head covers, you check in the back gates where they go. And girls were skiving off from school and meeting up with their boyfriends, and the beautiful covered outfits that they had were no longer on them. They were in English gear. And so I said to my dad, I'm not wearing it. I said, so Dad, the thing is, I don't need an outfit to be a good girl. The good girl's in my heart. And if you go check out yourself, you'll see the evidence. I don't need to say no more. So that was validated. I didn't wear it. And of course, then I realized that there was a voice within me that was validating stuff that from my observations, and education was helping me to learn and grow the inner strength of knowledge and my own headspace to observe and speak up. Even being hit didn't stop me from speaking up, to the point then I wasn't supposed to be going to work, but I wanted to work. I said to Dad, I've got a job. I'm past, my interview, and I'm going to get a job. In my culture, the men were supposed to provide for us, but I wanted to go to work because I'd taken the education to the point where you're supposed to, the next stop was get a job. I did get a job. They didn't want me to. They said, we provide finance for you. But anyway, as I did, so I had my first job. I then moved, realized my friends were earning a lot more, went to my second job. And that's where the thing that my parents wouldn't have wanted this to happen, but it happened, and I didn't expect it to. But that's when I fell in love with this Englishman, this big beast of a man, Englishman. And he was the owner of the company, actually. But he was a very disciplined, very educated, very gentleman-like man, and very handsome as well. And I remember like, wow, he's a beast of a man. Wow. Anyway, long and short of that is that the company was selling out. He was selling out, and I didn't know he fancied me, and he didn't know I fancied him. But when I then left, because we thought, oh my God, some of the directors are leaving, And I thought, oh, well, I'll stay in touch. And anyway, so I'd been a forward little madam, and I connected up with this Martin. And I said, hey, we were supposed to go for picnic, weren't we? We said, he'd left the company. I'd left the company. We connected up. And he fell in love with me. I fell in love with him. And he said, how do I ask for your hand in marriage with your father? I said, well, if you want your neck off the line, that's how you do it. Literally.
It's, yeah, I mean, like Pakistani and Punjabi, well, we're both Punjabi in that sense, but within Indians and Pakistanis, it's very similar. But, even back in the day then, it's like, oh my God, people be think it's outrageous, but it was culturally, that's what it was, I even when you told me, I'm like, oh, wow, to come back at the time.
He couldn't understand. Martin said, what do you mean they're going to kill you or me? They couldn't kill their own daughter. I said, you want to bet? I said, you've heard of honor killings? I said, that's what it is, because if I disobey their honor of what is planned, and I said, they would do. He said, hey, we're in England, we're in UK, we have a system, we have laws, I said, they don't work with that. Anyway, long and short of it was that we had to find out, how do we get married? And we had to contact some of the priests. And I'm keeping this obviously brief for you, but the priests, what I thought were going to support, that Martin was willing to become a Muslim in order to marry me. And we thought we're guided by the peers of the community. It backfired. So my father was called into the mosque to be told, instead of what I thought he was going to be told, yes, we shall accept this. Instead of that, they said, we have to nip it in the bud. We've got to stop what your daughter wants to do, because what kind of message would we be giving to other girls and the community? We cannot be seen to be accepting a white man in our family, and for girls to be seen this is doable.
Even though he's willing to convert as well.
Yes, yeah, that's not then the Islamic way, then you see. That was wrong of them to do that. So that's why it becomes hypocritical, even in religious side. So anyway, the long and short of that was that night was really like the volcano erupted in our home. My father came home. My father took my mother in. He spoke to her to say, this is what I've been told at the mosque. Go and find out from our daughter if that is the case. I was cooking. My mum says, turn the gas off, come in here. And before I went into the lounge from the kitchen, I opened the drawer with the knives in. And I was like, oh my God, this could be me, end of my life right now. I said a prayer. And I said, well, whatever will be, will be. And I said a prayer with the full knowledge that I may no longer be alive. I sat in the room with my mum, and my mum said, this is what your father's been told. Tell me that's not true. I had two choices, Ankar. I had a choice, one, to say it's not true and do a runner at a time that was convenient, or say, yes, it's true, and face the knife across my throat. I sat there. I saw my mum's tears. My tears were rolling. And I looked at my mum straight in the eyes and I said, Mum, it's true. I was okay with a knife across my throat. Because my dad always said honesty was best policy. And for me, I had to be true in myself. And that's what I did. Anyway, fortunately, I didn't get the knife through, but they did want to then arrange for marriage for me in Pakistan and this and that and the other. And anyway, my dad said, I want you to go and find some temporary work till I get you sent to Pakistan, Long story short, following week, while they were sorting out arranged marriages, Martin by this time was beside himself. He said, what do I do? How do I get my girl back? What do I do to protect her? And he'd made the call to the house and we were trying to organize it. I then arranged to meet with Martin and he said, just tell me one thing. Do you love me? I said, of course I do. He said, would you still marry me? I said, but it's difficult. He said, that's not what I asked. Would you, if you could, still want to marry me? I said, yes. And then basically from what was me going to work, within days of it, Martin handed me a piece of paper. I said, what is it? He said, it's a special marriage license. You've tried to do it your way. They're not accepting. And before they send you to Pakistan, I'm going to marry you by a special marriage license. Then within days, then on the Thursday, 10th of August, 1989, we were married that afternoon when my parents thought I was at work. And I said, I do. After the wedding, we went to the police station and we had police protection, and the rest is what it is. And my family thought she'll be back in a few days. But Ankar, we were married for 25 years. Martin and I celebrated our silver wedding anniversary before the tragedy hit Martin, and we have 3 beautiful children that are a wonderful energy and characteristics of their father, and a beautiful blend of both of us in these 3 beautiful young human beings that we produced. Yeah.
I mean, there's a book you've written. We'll talk about that towards the end, because you go really in depth about it. But to a certain degree, I know it sounds really now people, because it's more prevalent about obviously, because it is some families have gone through that tragedy of where parents have done something to the children. Luckily, your parents were understanding, but it's just a culture at the time. Again, looking back now, no one would accept that now, but it's just culturally. So you got married to Martin. I mean, go straight to a police station instead of a honeymoon. That's absolutely mind-boggling to anyone listening to that. But again, that doesn't surprise me. When you told me, I'm like, being of Asian descent, we've heard stories of that, which is a tragedy. No one accepts it, anything like that. So, I mean, you've had some glorious years with Martin, and stuff like that. So, again, I assume that the family breakdown with your family. Did it take long to build back up? Because again, we'll go on to talk about Martin, how an amazing man he was. But how long did it take to pick that back up?
So we tried sort of like more or less daily basis, but it wasn't happening. And it was actually my grandma that brought us together, because my grandma, who I was brought up with in Pakistan, was having an eye operation. She was going blind, and she said to the family that before I have my surgery that could lead me to being blind for the rest of my life, I just want to see my girl. She was the apple of my eye, and she's grown up, and I left with her at little baby, 6 years old, and she's now a grown woman. And I don't care whether she's married a green man, black man, yellow man, pink man, whatever man. I just know she's my girl. I don't care, but I want to see her. And so it took 4.5 years, and it was my grandmother that came to see us, and then eventually mum and dad accepted, and everything was resolved in that time.
Beautiful. I remember you said they're making a film based upon what
they want to make a film. Yes, there is 3 proposals I have had that's been put on the table. The major book that I'm still in the writing of it is going to be called Trilogy, and that'll be in 3 parts, from Pakistan to England, to transition from Eastern to Western, and then the 3rd part is the elopement, and that's the serious part of the story.
So you're making an actual book based, so it's, I assume, called Trilogy, 3 base book, part book. Is it, or is it 1 book?
It's 3 books, 3 in 1.
So, and filmmakers want to contact you about that story.
They've already, I've had 2 proposals actually on the table. They want to film it, and I said I have to be ready for it, and I don't want people to direct my film, because that is my story, and it has to be in the true sense as I see it, as it is. And some people wanted it as a documentary. I said, no, it has to be a film. Martin and I even talked about it, because the days we were together, and people love the story and the bravery, and this conversation about, am I a loser? We're not a loser. When we feel something strong, we are winners, regardless to the consequences we face with, because the heart desires it strong enough, and we will win a heart and a wish that's strong enough. And that's what we were both with that. And so that is on the agenda at some point for a film to come out as well.
That's unbelievable, because why I was so compelled, because again, there's such more to your story that we're gonna touch on with Martin, and what an incredible man, about your 3 children, and again, we're gonna touch on that you're one of the most in the top 100 most successful women in the world. People are gonna be shocked, but I'm not shocked when you know her story. So we're gonna touch on that. But you know your thought process, because again, this is about not giving up on yourself. How, when you're going through something like that, now obviously love is a powerful thing, and that was so true with Martin that you had. And again, a lot of people would love that. And again, well, looking back at that time as well, how do you say to someone not to go through those circumstances, that when they're facing such what's the right word for it? I would say when they're facing such tribulations, such stressful moments, what would you say to someone? Again, you can give it. What's the thought process when you were going through that? So you got married to Martin. Again, you're going through all this. You're quite young, but what would you say to anyone? Again, we'll elaborate on it with more of the story. How do you overcome something like that? How did you be with Martin, but thinking until your grandmother brought you back together, that you lose your family? how did you get the confidence? How did you not go into depression or go into something, or did you?
I did go into ill health because of the worry for the love of my parents, because I had a very good upbringing, I have to say. Generally, my upbringing was lovely and loved. My dad used to often say, "I wish you were my son." I say, "Hey, what's wrong with me being your daughter, Dad?" He said, "Well, because I'm so proud, I would want you to carry my name with pride, And so, I always got great acknowledgement of things like that too. And the thing about the unknown, I didn't know how my life was going to turn. I didn't know about these unexpected turns in it. I also didn't know how I was going to cope. I think the only honesty in my heart of what I felt, that I'm not doing anything wrong, was my sheer strength that drove me through every step. And I detached from the outcome. Whatever will be, will be. This is the truth, what I'm feeling, and I'm going with what I believe in. Because that was so, so strong. That belief of mine is actually where I feel, what resonates with my body good, my head space good, my heart space good. I'm following what I feel that's driving me, and that detachment of whatever will be. That's why the death didn't scare me. And I'm like, hey, I believe in where I'm at. I've tried to do the best I could. I can't do no more than be honest and sincere about where I'm at. So whatever will be, let it be. And it didn't then worry me then. I resigned to that fact. I detached from the outcome.
Well, that's the point I wanted to get to, because when you got to that story, such a young girl, a lady at the time, your belief, because when people think that they're going through tragedy and they feel like so down and out, again, I don't say people are losers, but we all go through that fact. I don't think you did, but sometimes I've gone through that fact where, I'm facing things and we're going, oh my God, I'm facing these things. I'm trying to battle it. I don't think I'm winning. I'm a loser, and the question is, but it goes beyond belief that to go through it. I mean, honestly, you're inspiring. That's because strength and belief is one of those things that it's you can't touch it, can you? You have to feel it, because you knew that you'd done everything that you knew that you'd done right towards your family, and this is what I believe. So you did it.
And you know something? And when we talk about losing, or am I a loser, I will share with you something on here, because it's very apt for so many people going through it. I realized that if in the event I couldn't marry Martin, the man that I loved, and if I felt I was going to lose him and not marry him, and I was going to be sent to Pakistan, I would not be anybody's. I was willing to let my life be taken in one way or the other, because I was not. So I have gone through that. If I was going to lose something that I loved so much, that's meant so much, if I cannot be his, I cannot be anybody else's. I was prepared to take my life away. And those thoughts did go through me. So I know that a lot of people go through these things. But but that belief, the strength of that belief stayed within me. And I gave expansion to that belief. I gave the thought in my head was, this can be done. It's got to be done. It will be done. And I kept saying those things, and I expanded on those thoughts, and I made it happen.
Wow, that's deep, and thank you for opening up to that, to go through it, because, and it's so honest of you, and it's touched me. It's touched me to feel that someone like yourself, or any human being, goes to that point, be in whatever situation and to go down that life, but you've gone through the belief. So, but I mean, it turned out amazing, and the fact that, again, I've touched on books. So Ghazala has a fantastic book called Loved.Lived.Lost. I've had the pleasure of reading part of it. I had to admit, because when she gave it to me, I was looking after my wife. Again, if anyone doesn't know, I keep saying it to everyone, I had triplets. So so even up to that point, it was there. So, but there was part of it I read through. There was I didn't want to highlight it because it was such a nice book. But you go through the story of how, with Martin, and unfortunately, so you had, was it 29 years, did you say, or 25?
25 years.
25 years, sorry.
Silver wedding anniversary, yeah.
Oh, wow. So, so you got three amazing kids you told me all about. And unfortunately, Martin passed away in 2014, was it? Or again, I think it was, unfortunately, to pancreatic cancer, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
we Martin said to me, you know, wifey, I love your curries, but you know what? I can't take, you know, I married you for your curries because I love them and I can't eat them anymore. I said, I thought you married me because you fancied me. He said, oh yeah, that as well. But you know, I can't do the curries anymore. I said, so does that mean that if you only married me for my curries, are you telling me that now you don't like my curries because they don't settle with you, now you want a divorce? He said, oh no, we've come this far. We will see it through the journey, but I just can't cope with your curries anymore. They're not settling with me. So we knew that Martin was going through some ill health challenges. He had he was quite a strong man, but he had suffered with ME and what he had a post-viral shock fatigue syndrome that triggered the ME condition that had been with him for some time.
ME,
But
sorry,
ME, yeah, it was this chronic fatigue, chronic fatigue syndrome. You know, they used to call it the yuppie flu. Yeah, so he had that many years ago, and that was actually around when Charlie was born, and he's 20 odd. So over the years, Martin was not as strong. I mean, he was built like as strong as an ox and a big beast of a man, as I said. But the chronic fatigue had actually affected him over the years. But what happened is about 2010, Martin had a near fall outside our house. We were just saying goodbye to our friends, and he kind of slipped. And instead of falling down, he stopped himself and he tore a ligament in the back of his knee. He was hospitalized because he couldn't physically move the leg, and they aspirated the knee and put a steroid to reduce the pain. But as a result, he contracted MRSA. He never recovered back from it properly, and he was on so many medications. And when he told me about this not liking the curry, and I said, Martin, I'm not surprised your stomach's not coping with curries. With the amount of medications you've been taking to survive through what you had, your poor old stomach lining is probably can't cope with the spice of the curry. But we have to go for further test, and that's when we went for further test. And he had a CT, he had a biopsy, and anyway, they said they couldn't actually get to the pancreas, so they got the fluid around it, and then I remember sitting at the specialist, and the specialist said, and Martin sat there very quiet. Martin was such an intelligent man, but such a quiet, composed man. I mean, if you'd met him, Onkar, you'd have said, how does this guy keep it together, right? And he sat there, and he said, the gastroenterologist said to Martin, we've got some results back from the biopsies and that, and unfortunately, Martin, you have a rare form of pancreatic cancer because it doesn't show the normal symptoms, but it's advanced stage. Martin and I looked at each other and we thought, advanced stage? We said, what do you mean by advanced stage? He said, terminal. And then you see, at that point, my tears rolled down my face. Martin looked at me and he said to me, I told you I was dying because I wasn't well. And that's when our world broke apart, because I now suddenly was having to face with the fact there's this man that I've loved, that I've fought for, we've come through a journey as we have, and he's now we're gonna be coming to the end of our rainbow soon, and that's truly what was going through our heads.
I mean, for what you overcome at the beginning, and to have these beautiful years together, but still to face something as hard as that, how do you process that? How do you process that?
Do you know something? I couldn't process it other than I was hurting to think that this man who's only ever thought the very best for me, always shone the light on me, always was my biggest cheerleader, my mentor, my guide, my teacher, my everything, that always worried, and in the sense that he had to make the Gaz happy. Always his mission is Gaz happy, and the children and their upbringing, and even for the fact that he took as a mature student an IT course. He said, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it because we got young children. I'm an older dad and I got to be with the kids. I can't be a dad that don't understand. I got to do this course for the children because they're going to come to dad for help. And he graduated out of this, what he thought was going to do a basic computing course. It ended up doing a higher national diploma course, and he'd graduated from it. And to wear a cap and gown at 50 odd years of age, he's like,
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. And he was so proud about it. He said, you see, now my kids, I can say to them, I'm with them. I'm getting down with the kids with the IT. I know all about it. I can help my kids with the homework. So The biggest part is, as you said, how do you deal with it? So although I was dealing with it that way, but I'll share with you what Martin felt at that time. And he said, wifey, that's because that's what he called me. He said, wifey, I'm not bothered about the stupid cancer. What's hurting me most is not the cancer and me dying. What's hurting me most is, how do I tell our children that dad ain't going to be here anymore in their life?
Mm.
How can I see their faces when I tell them that their dad is going to die? He said, that's cutting me up more than the cancer. He said, imagine our little daughter, daddy's girl. How does she look at her dad's face and know that dad ain't going to be there for her wedding day one day? How will the children have their different milestones of celebrations and their dad won't see them and they would want to share it? That, he said, is hurting me more than anything.
I mean, knowing being a parent as well, I could feel that pain. How would you tell your children? I mean, how old were your children at the time?
Yeah, so they were in their teenage years, and one just out of teenage years. One going from compulsory school years to secondary, the further education. One going from further education into university, and one just kind of nearly coming to the end of university years. And to think that he would graduate and his father wouldn't be there, yet his father actually registered him into the university and helped him move in. But when the sons come through from graduation and the father can't see him come through with him celebrating, that's kind of like when you feel like that. That's deep and that's heavy, and that's more of a weight onto a heart that is breaking.
Oh, God, you and your family have been through so much. I mean, when you told me more about Martin's stories, but I don't want to, because we got so much to go through. It's terms of it. But honestly, if anyone, please, I've started reading it more and more into it because of, there's a bit of breaks between the kids' feeds and stuff. Please have a look at Loved.Lived.Lost by Ghazala Jabeen, and she talks about, because what's the emphasis of the book really?
The book was written, the book was written in threefold, because Martin's last wish was to raise more awareness that no other family has to go through kind of what we did. And
Absolutely.
Martin said people don't know that pancreatic cancer has one of the lowest survival rates, that when generally people get told you have pancreatic cancer, survival rate is really low. Martin said, so I know, wifey, you're quite good at doing write-ups and things like that. I'd like you to raise awareness and put a little article in the paper. And that was his last wish. And for me, I don't do things small, as you know, Ankar. I mean, I just take it to the heights and so on. But the book was written in threefold. One was to tribute Martin's last wish, to raise awareness of that, and to show what a wonderful man he was, that even in his dying days, he was bothered about keeping others alive through that wish for me to share the story. The second was to share the symptoms of the pancreatic cancer and our journey, so people know the kind of things that to look out for, because that's, again, raising awareness. And the third was to be the voice of those that never got heard, because Martin was misdiagnosed 15 times. And by the time he was diagnosed properly, it was too late. And that was for me to raise awareness that people, if when you got chronic fatigue syndromes or you're not resting and feel rested after a sleep, there must be other underlying issues, which is what Martin kept saying. So that was to persevere for further tests, and that's what it was. The book, and as you know from my profile, but one thing is that I was going to do Martin justice more than that. The write-up article I was doing in the paper, what I thought was going to be a column, ended up Martin being frontline cover, with Martin's face on the front of our local paper everywhere. And the book went #1 bestseller in less than 12 hours of the launch. And the last chapter I had to do, but I became ill, and people were saying, why don't you leave the book if it's hurting you that much to write? Because, there was more tears on the paper than there was ink, because it was such the hardest thing I could ever write in my life. From all the other marketing work I've done and articles and training programs, this for me was a vulnerability of a broken heart, and I'm trying to write it for others to read our story. And the last chapter was that I wanted to take people up to, I wanted to raise awareness for Pancreatic Cancer UK. And I thought, well, if we raise some funds and we do at least some money raising to help the research side and do more, because not a lot of people know, I'm going to take a team of people up to Mount Snowdon. And why? Because it's the highest mountain of England and Wales. And what am I going to do? I'm going to do that last, kind of campaign of taking people up there. And why? I wanted to do a high five to Martin to say, hey, your wish has been accomplished and we're going to do you proud. And I can't go no higher than the highest mountain of England, Wales, to do a high five to him, to be the closest I could to do that, and to say that we've done you proud, because the book also has achieved so much of write-up that others will, every page they turn, there's a little wheelbarrow on each page at the bottom. And that was Martin's wheelbarrow race, because he said, I wanted to do that because he wanted to donate his wheelbarrow. You know, people, when they're dying, they say, well, I'll get my bucket list done. And Martin said, mine ain't going to be a bucket, it's going to be a wheelbarrow. And he said he's going to donate the wheelbarrow to the Welsh Mountain Zoo, because our son worked there. And he said, well, we'll have your wheelbarrow, Dad. And Martin said, I'll take it myself and give it to you and we'll do a ride-up. I said, Martin, you can't walk from this room to the other. How are you going to walk to the zoo? He said, well, the cans are going to kill me anyway, so I might as well do the wheelbarrow race. And then we did. And he walked and he was brave. And again, the question is, am I a loser? Even if his life is losing the life, he was not going to give up without a fight. And that's what he did. And he handed it to the head gardener at the zoo. And the wheelbarrow story is Martin's strength of you don't give up.
That's one of the things, when you were telling me about the story about Martin and snippets I wrote in it. Martin never gave up, regardless of what happened towards the end of his life. What a man. I mean, and this is the thing, you know, people, when they faced their mortality, again, I don't know what that's like. They have such a more of a belief now, don't they? They have a more of a belief to live it to its fullest. I mean, why? I think that's a different question, but I mean, I'm trying to process it myself, because, you know, we think we got all the time in the world, and yet we contemplate about very petty things. You know, sometimes I look at that. When you told me my story again, it really had a lasting impact on me. That as I was driving, what she's gone through, what Martin did go through up until his end, but still had the outlook in life. I'm like, wow, you know. You got to save at the moment. You got to let the little things go, you know, because this could happen anytime. And for you, because again, what you did afterwards, if anyone doesn't see this picture, slow down here. I remember this picture really touched me. This is the picture in there.
Yeah, that's right. All of us. Oh, it's a fantastic support of people up there. I climbed right to the very top and we videoed it. We shared it. We did a Facebook Live of it. It was just, we couldn't do Martin more proud than that.
I mean, well, you couldn't. I honestly, and again, you're absolutely inspiring. But what's even more inspiring, you've raised a family. You've gone through this family with your, on your side of the family, gone through all this, accepted and etc. It's your business acumen as well. So. If people don't know, so I met Ghazala through a TV series, and she also does Bollywood Burnout, which is basically exercise through Bhangra and dancing, because she's a fellow Welsh person, you know, even though you were from Derby, Birmingham.
Yeah, originally Derby, yeah.
Yeah, Derby. She is now an honorary Welshman, a Welsh lady, living in a beautiful Conway. Sorry, Ghazala, didn't mean that. But, so to have, like, again, you know, Asians are kind of rare in Wales, a lot more now. Your business acumen, again, because I come to Ghazala for advice for marketing, because I think she's just like, wow, you know. So if anyone wants to, not come to Ghazala for advice, but in terms of do Ghazala. So again, with all these tragedies, your outlook still in life, it's still, you're upbeat, you're just so motivated. I think those things that you've gone through your life has really articulated would that be correct, that be it what's happening in your personal life, I know not say helped, but the lessons that you've gone through, the things that you've gone through has really shaped in terms of giving you determination to be so successful? Because tell us about how you became the one in the top 100 most successful women in the world. Tell me about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, I always had that, you know, that desire to study more, to do better, because, you know, apart from the education side, I at 21 years of age, I was a director of a company, right, in the real estate world. And Martin and I had the largest estate agency in the third largest city of the UK, in Manchester, and we had the biggest stock of portfolio. I hadn't done anything like that. Martin said, we need to hire a manager. I said, why can't I do it? He said, well, you don't know how to value properties. I said, well, nor did she, the girl that we were going to hire. I said, so it's just a matter of we start somewhere. But I'm a pretty fast learner, and I was not going to let anything beat me, or anyone beat me, or anything beat me. So I qualified. I took financials. I became an independent financial advisor as well. So I studied all the exams for that, and did mortgages for people, and I took on the whole thing of business at that age, at 21 years of age. And then I realized that this is good, this business life, this entrepreneurial life, and I can achieve a lot. And every drip fed little success of overcoming what somebody said you can't, and I did, it fueled me to do more and bigger. And one of the statements that really made a change for me in life was that great philosopher, Jim Rohn, American philosopher, and he said something, I can't quite quote the exact words, but something along the line of, if you work hard on your job, you'll earn a good living. But if you work hard on yourself, you'll earn a fortune. So I thought, I could have a good one, or I could have a fortune. And I thought, well, if you can have bigger and better, why stick for the mediocre? And I just was always that big thinker girl anyway. And I never felt I was a normal kind of run-of-the-mill kind of girl anyway. Anything that was bigger, doable, I would.
You weren't normal. Yeah, well, you're definitely not normal, in the nicest sense, not in the nicest sense again.
It was one of those that I have no idea how that drive was in me. All I knew was that if this was okay, this was wonderful, I was going to go for the wonderful. And that made me do a lot of work on myself to really fine tune myself. And something, at the time when life was tough and people gave you digs, and instead of consoling you, but they cuss you down. And I'm thinking, at that time was hard. I was like, why are you being nasty to me, people? I was working I had a position in one of the largest direct sales organizations in the UK that was 95% male dominated area. And as a female, you hardly get a look in. And I'm thinking, don't be underestimating the female here. I had an Asian guy who said, Ghazala, you're good, but you're not that good. I said, I'm good because I'm in the top 3 consistent, and you're not anywhere near me. So you cannot say that. and I said, but if you want to, want to take me on a challenge like that, I'm up for the challenge. Anyway, I became the company's senior director at that point, heading one of the largest direct sales organizations. And then I realized, oh my goodness, there is anything is possible. And that's just really fueled me. And I got bigger and better. And then I got to the point where I didn't like being told what to do by people, because I knew better things, but I didn't need to be belittled or bullied or being the female and trodden down on. And I was thinking, I fought that even in my outfit with my dad, and now I've got some guy telling me in a company that I can't do this. So when they said to me, yeah,
no, sorry, go on, because you've gone through all that, you're like, this is nothing.
I know.
And that's the thing, you see, not saying the tragedies or the things you never wanted what happened to you in the past to come. I wouldn't wish that on anyone, but it molded you to. Yeah, but you know what? That's the exact words. You see, this is what I've been trying to tell to people, that yes, these really tough situations have come, but if you use it right and not use it as a heavy on your shoulders, but let it mold you and shape you to be, so when you come into situations like this, you're already 10 times stronger than the person you come through. That this is how I feel to some of the things. So
I feel that. I would say to anybody with any challenges, know that the challenges are inoculating you for the strength of better things to come. That's how I look at it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep as well. That's deep. That's so true.
So to me, I don't know how, but that's right, because
so true.
We need that protection. That's the inoculation for things that we need. That's an inoculation for better things to come. And at the time, it's tough, you don't see it like that. You think, why is life being horrible to me? Why is life being horrible? Yeah. But when I got ridiculed in a man world and I just fought in my inner world, I got stronger and stronger, better and better, until I got to the point when I walked away from a 6-figure income. And Martin said to me, hang on, you cannot just walk away from the job. You're on top salary here. You're in top position. I said, I don't need to take all this BS from people. I said, but Martin, I know what I need to do. He said, what do you mean? No, wait, wifey, don't be walking out of the job. I said, but I'm going to go, Martin. I don't need to take it. I don't need to take it from nobody. Anyway, fact is, I knew that a product that was required to the marketplace, I also knew how to get it to them. I also had the knowledge, the confidence in my ability from the results I was getting. I didn't need to take anybody's rubbish and attacks. Mm-hmm. So I left the last job that I was supposed to be on, and they said, Ghazala's walking out. And then the one of the senior directors called me and they said, Ghazala, you can't just walk out. What's wrong? Can we fix this? I said, no, you've broken all you needed to. You cannot. I'm out of here. And they said, no. I said, no. Send my stuff over. Send my salary back to me on that. And I'm as of with immediate effect, I'm not. So what I did was, I said to Martin, right, okay, just move aside. Let me take the driving seat. Let me show you how this business of ours, we're going to create this. I went into the idea of a product that I was going to take to the marketplace. I scribbled a doodle, then I sketched it, then I planned it, then I worked it, then I knew where to go. I had all the understanding. Martin just watched in awe of like, this wife of mine just knows what she's doing. I just keep out the way. I'm just going to support her, but she knows. And I created, not forget a six-figure income, I created a product so unique that I never, ever had to struggle on an objection in creating a sale, because it was unique. It was the first, it was the best. And I went out to the marketplace and I did it and manufactured it until I was then earning I think we were sort of on figures like 20 to 40 grand a week, money coming in. Yeah, a week. And that was years ago, when people were not even getting 20 grand a year salary annual. We were putting that in our bank in a week.
This is a service based. This is information.
It's a product in a healthcare that I designed, manufactured myself, and took it to the marketplace. I did the marketing.
A physical product.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I designed it. I went to to have the fabric engraving the HMS, Martin's initials, because that was a health and mobility solutions with HMS. So we had that engraved in each thread, and each thread had the high care treatments for avoiding bacteria, mold and mildew for patients being on it in the health sector, and created a product that nobody can say, I want to think about it, because I would say, well, you cannot. Most people think about it because they want to compare other pricing. There is nothing on the market to compare with. So therefore, and that's how we created. And we went to the bank. We said to the bank, we didn't want to borrow any money to set up the business, because the way I've structured it was a smart way to structure it. We don't want a single penny in borrowing of money from the bank. I just needed bank facility for merchant services. The manager said to me, these figures are pretty good of your projections. I mean, like, you don't want any money, but you just want bank service. So how are you going to fund it? What you going to do? And how have you come with these figures? I said, don't you worry about the figures. You see the file I brought, this big old carry bag with all these files here. This is actual achieved sales. So I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it. I said, I've given you 12 months projections for the year one, but we should do better than that, quicker time than that. 6 months, I got a call from the bank. They say, you're already on track for your 12 months. In 6 months, you've already achieved that.
Wow. How long ago was this?
This was 2000 and let me see now, 2007, something like that, I think it was. And also the government of our country in Wales loved what we were doing, because we were creating jobs, we were creating work and as a business that was part funded by the Welsh government support based in Wales. They said there was grants available up to $500,000 they would like us to apply for, because we can bring manufacturing to Wales to do that. So you imagine how I've turned the bank around to be in amazement of what I've been able to achieve, to create jobs, to create business, and to create then the opportunity to create manufacturing, and the government of the country of our Wales wanting to support that and help fund that was huge accolade for us to have achieved that point in our life. And that's what we were heading for. But sadly, Martin had become ill at that point, and we had to eventually close the door on that, because Martin was on the logistics, the account side, and I was taking care of the sales and marketing and everything. And so when your life partner is getting ill, I got to take care of him then, and that was life and death situation. And that sadly, however, that didn't stop us to carrying on, because when you got a dilemma of going to be not by choice, but a single mother, not by
Mm.
choice, by tragedy, that I'm become with a situation that I'm now a single mother. I realized that as a single mother, I could not get any benefits that most single mothers do. Why? Because Martin had a private pension and we were the financially over the threshold figures, and I was not allowed to get any help in that way to help me to keep my mortgage or payments and things. So it was very difficult. And I had no choice to get back out to work. And that's when I decided that if I got to keep the roof over our head, I got to keep the bills going. And that's when I took the lead into the world of creating the business and created international teams together with some of our partners in our business, where really I had to just get this amount of income generating, and I got myself back into six-figure income earnings pretty quick, but it was quite a journey. And to build teams globally, on cultural globally, I had to work with that time zone globally to stay awake, to do all that, and to continue to take care of my children through university. And all I knew was that Martin and I gave the children a great head start in their life for their future. I cannot let the side down, and I had to do whatever it took. And that's why I wasn't going to lose. So I was not going to be a loser at this point. I've stayed strong and had to stay strong for the children again and help them through it, through the university years, and the business grew, the work grew. And I think then people started to realize that Ghazala's doing, and Bollywood Burnout was my thing, which was that, well, Martin was still alive, and it was because after having children, I became a big mama Gaz, and I was like, oh my God, I've put so much weight on it. Well, I got to shape up. I mean, I looked at embarrassment at myself. I was like, how big did you get, Gaz? Like, what? How you've let yourself go? But it was my journey of something that was culturally something we've grown up with, the Bollywood world and Bhangra dancing, and I had some private lessons, and I was quietly, this was kind of embarrassment really, but at the end of my day's work, I'd sit and put my music and do some bala dance moves in my office. I'm thinking, nobody's watching. That's okay. It's my office. I can do what I like. I shaped up and I went from a clinically obese size 18, big mama Gaz, down to a size 8 and 10. And my friends like, what? How did you do it? What diet are you on? And I just did an 80-20 Bollywood burnout program. And my friends kept going on about it. And that led to just keeping 3 friends quiet. And it led to 3 friends to 30,000 strong audience when the Cardiff Multicultural Mela and Apache Indian came down, and we were going to go and help break the Guinness World Record, and then the audiences grew and etc. And then it was like, who is this Bollywood burnout? Ghazala Jabeen, she's a Pakistani girl doing Indian dance. What's going on? And on Western soil. And that's where it became this Ghazala Jabeen, the Bollywood Queen title that came in. And that's how it came. And it was just another part of a success through a personal transformation, through a change in my culture, because there wasn't a lot of Asian people and I was missing my culture and my music, and my Western people, my Welsh people loved it. And the reason where I was awarded for that is I'd raised over £150,000 in my country of Wales, in our country of Wales, for charities, for organisations, for community projects, and I helped raise funds where I waived professional fees to support and give back.
Oh, I mean, that's how we met, because it's for the Bollywood Burnout, you know. I mean, I'm just, honestly, again, so much you've gone through, so much you've achieved, because you Bollywood and direct selling you've done, you made a medical product, then you had to stop not because of Martin, but obviously the tragedy of that, and then losing him and still becoming a single mum, still to look after your children. I mean, there's one thing. If again, I would, Ghazala, with your permission, in the future, when to talk direct more about business, because again, I love marketing. You are a hell of a marketer, honestly, in terms of how you position and stuff like that. So I would like to, talk to you about that in the future more, for people to talk about, look, how do you market, how do you sell, because you've gone through it. But I've always believed that you need to have you can have a strength, because you're going to face adversity to come through. Yeah. I mean, we're coming towards the end, Ghazala. And again, this is just unbelievable. So what I want to kind of sum up is really is your final thoughts in the sense that, again, what would you say to someone, and we touched on it right now, but now to where you are now, knowing your wisdom, because you're a very white person, but also very so honestly, if you were a Ghazala's company, you just can't help but just walk away smile, and I love people like that, what would you say to someone? Okay, you're facing adversity. I want to do these things, but I feel down in the dumps. What would you say to them?
Okay, I think the first thing one needs to look at is themselves perhaps in the mirror and say, what do I really want? They need to be honest to themselves. What do they really want? What's pulling in the heart of their desire, their inner desire? Get some clarity for yourself, what you truly want. That's the first point, to start from within. Then say, what's stopping me getting there? And then reach out for somebody who's achieved it through it and say, I need help. And then put the hand out to say, I'm ready. Because you know what they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. There's always somebody that will actually appear for them. And, even for me, I never realized I'm a true Gemini. I say to people, I go by two titles. One, of course, was Ghazala Jabeen, the Bollywood Queen. The second was Ghazala Jabeen, the #1 marketing machine. And people know that, #1 marketing machine I was the marketing machine. And then suddenly my fame in work just grew globally. And then it was then time for that upscaling that work of mine. And ask yourself also, I think key things as well is, from words of wisdom side of things, is we all going to go through tragedy, but you've got to look at the responsibility of yourself, of people around you, is how do you want them to see you? Do you want to be the cloud in everybody's sunshiny day? Or do you want to be the sunshine in somebody's cloudy day?
You're coming out with some, what I would say, some bangers today, Ghazala. Yeah. Some bangers today. Oh my God. I just, that's so true, isn't it? That's so true.
Because you don't know who we're affecting. Every day, somebody in our pathway could be going through a tragedy. Are we somebody's strength and inspiration for them to breathe through and do good that way? Or are we just going to add the burden to their weight of their journey as well?
So true. So true.
That's how we got to look at it. And that's how I looked at it, because one, as a mother, two, as a wife that was going to lose a husband, I had to be his strength when he was weak. Whose strength are we in every day for somebody's weakness? And less as human, because like I say, it doesn't matter which culture, religion, whatever. But for me, my faith is humanity, and one heart supporting another beating heart through thick and thin, through dark and light, and whatever the yin and the yang that goes on. Let the humanity have the yin and yang together. Let's together. Yeah. And one of my own personal quotes is, together, let's make a mark, a beautiful mark, as we make a difference. And today, this podcast and this speaking to you together, you've given me a wonderful opportunity to share my heart space. They know me also as the Queen of Hearts, because I lead by my heart. It's very strong in the broken heart it is, but it's still very strong to keep going. Yeah. And I also know that there's another heart, hopefully, even if I've touched one heart in this talk that we've done, that has got some lift in there, a space to beat the heart stronger, then I think we've given them a great lifeline to keep going.
Oh, thank you so much. Honestly, that's amazing. That is absolutely what I wanted to get across. This is the reason I started this podcast, is to help as many people to realize, look, no matter what you're facing, look, there's always something at the end that you could build upon, and to have you as an inspiration. Thank you again, Ghazala. Just two more questions, really, to go on, because that was such a fitting ending. But I was like, what's next for you? What's your current project? Okay, what are you doing now?
Yes, what's next for me? There's quite a few things. One of the main things was that my story, which is from suppression to expression, and now I'm making an impression, because a girl that fought for education is now creating an educational platform in my digital program, which is where my program that I've created is called is called Present Like a Pro and Sell Like a Superstar.
Oh, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Because if somebody can get their act together to position themselves, they're going to present like a pro, and I show people how to do that. Of 30 years industry experience and all the secret formulas that I've collected over the years, I'm putting into this course. And to sell like a superstar is, hey, you know what? It's going to be effortless if they do the first bit right. The other one's going to be smooth sailing. So I'm going to take them through the rough ride and then get them sailing. And that is going to give them the success of whatever their chosen careers. I also
And any
Want to make
career? Any career? Oh, wow.
Yeah, any career,
Fantastic.
whether it's a job advancement, whether it's starting a business, whether people are at crossroads in their business. I'm also a big advocate for women, as I've created a program called $1 Million Lady Leaders. And why I've created that is when a woman is losing her self-confidence, or is ridiculed or belittled, or is feeling like a loser or a failure. We women, when we get dressed up, we want somebody to say, God, you look like $1 million. That makes us feel good. So I wanted to create a program called $1 Million Lady Leaders. And that is my coaching program to support and help women to lead the way, be strong in their own right from my own journey. But also I help businesses and people that needing that mentoring with like in my head. I come from being an office junior, being a business owner, being a manufacturer, being a franchisee, being a franchisor, receiving end of a system to creating a system, and being an owner and an international speaker, in the work that I've done to train and teach, and now doing a lot online in the digital space with artificial intelligence to really bring people up to speed. And that's why that book of being in there as one of the 100 most successful women around the world is a success at all different levels, from personal journey success, from tragedy to triumph, from business growth to teaching and giving back. And that's a beautiful accolade for me that I'm proud of as well.
Oh, my God. I feel like applauding you. That's why you're one of the most 100 top successful women in the world. And I wouldn't even dispute it, but the fact is I knew you before that. Because how can I get in touch? How can I get more information about you to possibly work with someone inspiring, be it personal, how can I get in touch with you?
So the beauty of it is that I've put available for everybody at different levels. So for people who don't have finances but would like a piece of the Gaz, for ladies, I do a Lady Leaders Lunch and Learn Club every Wednesday, 1:00. They can just get onto Ghazala Jabeen Facebook or ghazalajabeen.co.uk. And Ghazala is spelled Ghazala. Jabeen is Jabeen. And then, of course, if they want the #1 marketing machine to really excel their business growth at all levels with 30 years, they can go to #1marketingmachine.com. And I'm on all social media, channels, and they can reach out, message me, so they can do the fun quiz to see how good their sales personality is. That's a fun thing, and they get a free downloads of presentation skills. They can do the free coaching every week. They can have a discovery call with me just to see if I can help them and how I can help them. And we do a strategy session, and then they can go up from a mini course, which is helping them present with the powerful 3 Ps, or they can come into my main program. If they got a course they want to create, they want to get something online of their program, I'll help them create a course and coach them from personal development, business growth, and body transformational side. So there's 3 areas of my coaching support as well.
Oh, that's amazing. Everyone, look, don't worry. That's a lot of information. You can re-record it, obviously look back in it, but all the links will be in the Spotify account, Apple Podcast account. The links will be there on the YouTube channel as well, with all platforms. There will be a link to everything that Ghazala said, because I think it's so important if you want to be working with someone to improve your life, to come up, stop asking yourself the question, am I a loser, to how do I become a champion? Someone who's gone for that. Because, and again, as you could tell, this is such a genuine person. I only like to deal with people who've lived life, not like they have such an easy life and then to go for that. It'll really shape you. So, Ghazala, I can't thank you again. You have inspired me. There's some bangers in there, in some lines. So when I go back on there, I'm going to take them out and I'm just trying to put them on the wall, because I love the one-liners. So, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here with you. Your energy also, it's a good things come out of one person with other person, and your fun energy, your heart to heart, genuine, great guy that you are. It was fantastic to teaching you to dance the moves. It's fantastic to talk to you, and I'm just thrilled to be here as your guest as well, and to support your audience as well.
Oh, brilliant. I'm still aching from that Bollywood burnout, though. Thank you, everyone. And thanks for listening to Am I a Loser with your host, Uncle Singh, and I'm with the fantastic interviewed Ghazala Jabeen. Goodbye, everyone.
Oh, it's not him